While the Formula One series might not be the most beautiful racing franchise around, it still is a sight to behold, with authentic tracks and nicely modeled cars. And on top of that, Codemasters manages to add new and interesting features with each annual iteration. This year's F1 2020 comes with a split-screen mode for 2 players, a brand new career mode that allows you to build your own racing team from the ground up, as well as a lot of minor tweaks, while still maintaining everything that you know from the last entries. It's a dazzling, high-velocity experience that you should enjoy with a good racing wheel. In a video series such as Pixel Glory, this is of minor concern though. I am here to find out whether Codemasters changed any graphical features, and of course, to see how well the new split-screen mode runs on consoles. Well, on one console that is, because aside from the PC version, I only got to play it on Xbox One X. However, if we take into consideration how Codemasters handled the port to PlayStation 4 in the last years, this should be enough of an indicator for changes concerning all platforms. Let me start things off with one important note. The Xbox One X version seems to run at a native 3840 by 2160. There are no signs of artifacts or shimmering edges, even when zooming in. Turning down the motion blur effect reveals the pure setup, and there is no visual reconstruction to be seen. At least for the naked eye. Still, that might not be the case when it comes to anti-aliasing, since the PC version offers a checkerboarded variant of the latter. And estimated with the computational power of the current console generation in mind, this seems to be the most logical solution. 2 new courses were added to the 2020 season. Otherwise, not much has changed on and aside from the track, which means character animations are still kinda stiff and most of the cutscenes remained unchanged. Well, the new career mode does provide a whole number of customization options for your avatar and your car, but that's more or less a color swap on the textures. Everything else remains exactly the same as in last year's iteration. The HDR implementation at night is still excellent, while overall not as impactful as in Gran Turismo Sport or Forza Motorsport 7. The frame rate aims for 60 frames per second on Xbox One X, and F1 2020 will hit that target permanently. However, some of the heavier scenarios introduce tearing due to the adaptive VSync. As usual, a race in the rain at the very detailed but also narrow and car-packed Monaco course is a reliable stress test for such things. Torn frames come up once in a while, but not frequently enough to have any impact on a race. The 2-player mode, however, is a completely different beast. With a maximum of 42 cars on display, maintaining 60 frames per second was no option. Not even on the Xbox One X. Instead, 30 frames is the target for this mode. But on console, not even simplified lighting and reduced level of detail can guarantee that. Consequently, split-screen mode suffers from skip frames down to about 25 FPS and a lot of tearing. What's interesting though is that the screen tearing mainly seems to affect the lower half. Very often it appears that player 1's upper window will be updated, while the lower window for player 2 won't, which of course is not quite fair for anyone who has to play on the lower half. The experience is still good enough for a race with your kids, but don't expect too much. After all, the physics also update at a lower rate, which changes the handling of the cars quite a bit. If you want better results, you will have to stick with the PC version or wait for next year's iteration on the new consoles. Anyway, aside from the 2-player mode, F1 2020 still makes an excellent impression and shows how much love and effort Codemasters invests in this series. I've been playing each iteration since 2011, and since then, The programmers and designers have shown excellent progress. This is why I look forward to F1 2021 on the next console generation. I'm sure that it will make another leap in terms of graphics and gameplay. Thank you for watching, and if you like this kind of content, then please consider leaving a comment and subscribing to my channel.